This is my wife, and she has a master's degree in English literature.
Hi!
This is me, and I primarily read fantasy, and for the next week I will only be reading books that my wife recommends. Okay, Susanna, what book are you gonna force me to read for the next week or so?
Well, the book is actually in this stack. Nutshell by Ian McEwan.
Why do you want me to read that book?
Well, I love Ian McEwan, and Johan has never read an Ian McEwan book as of yet, so I've wanted him to read one for a very long time, and Nutshell has a very, very interesting concept. That's all I'm going to give you.
Alright, I'm gonna say goodbye to fantasy. Let's start reading Nutshell. Now, I love my wife, and I really want to treat her and do something nice for her, but I'm so bad at keeping secrets. But I just discovered, and the reason why I'm being quiet here is because my wife is in the other room. I don't want her to know that this book here is actually inspired by Hamlet by Shakespeare. We're actually going to London in around a week's time. So what better way to treat my lovely wife than to take her to the Shakespearean Globe in London? Now, throughout this vlog, I am gonna be dropping some hints here and there to see if she'll catch on. Or maybe a William Shakespeare, maybe like a Shakespeare too. But yeah, no Shakespeare. I think there must be a Shakespeare somewhere in there. Like Shakespeare or Jane. But I'll do my very best to keep this a secret. And I just can't wait to see her reaction at the end of this vlog when I actually take her there. I hope she'll love it. There's actually a bit of an indirect book swap going on, because Susanna is currently reading Bookshops and Bound Dust, the book I really enjoyed. And she got so inspired by this book that she actually wants to try and make some of the bonds in this novel. So let's try and make them, shall we? When I read, I create content. When Susanna reads, she starts baking.
I create content as well.
Look at that. That's insane.
Hallelujah!
So this was inspired by Bookshops and Bone Dust. There's a recipe found online. We'll put it in the description down below. So let's give this a try. So it smells very gingery and orange, because both of those are in here. In other news, I have started Nutshell. Only 20 pages into it, but it's very interesting. We're basically following a super intelligent fetus that is still in the uterus. And this fetus basically describes its thought. I don't even know if I know the gender yet. Its thoughts on like the mom, the dad. It is super interesting. And I think that like the whole book, we just follow a fetus that is inside a uterus. So yeah, I definitely look forward to continuing this. But first, I want to eat more of this. Okay, so I'm 100 pages into Nutshell, and I am absolutely loving it. So just to give you a feel of what kind of book this is, how it's written, I'm just going to be reading the opening passage of this book. So I'm starting from page 1, so no spoiler, don't worry. But the book starts with, so here I am, upside down in a woman, arms patiently crossed, waiting, and wondering who I'm in, what I'm in for. My eyes close nostalgically when I remember how I once drifted in my translucent body bag, floated dreamily in the bubble of my thoughts. Oh, that is how it's written, and it is just so absurd and so entertaining and immersive. And also, while I've been doing this experience, I've just been contemplating how blessed I am to be married. I often feel that getting married young is seen as like a really stupid and negative thing, and in some cases obviously it is. But I got married when I was 22, and I've been married now for almost 6 years, and I seriously wake up every day just so thankful that I'm able to do life with my beautiful wife. Hey, that rhymes. I mean, seriously, is there anything better than being married to your best friend, reading books together, and then just going on this massive journey together? I seriously can't think of anything better, and I'm so glad I'm actually able to learn more about my wife through this challenge. I just really hope we're gonna have a great time in London. Alright, let's continue reading. Now, while my wife and we share the love for reading, we also want to share in together in creating memories together, and one day potentially starting a family together. Which leads me to today's paid partner, BetterHelp. Now, before I decided to partner with BetterHelp for this video, I actually wanted to try the service first. And I have to say, I'm actually really glad I did, because it turned out to be a really great experience. Now, my wife and we've been talking about starting a family, and honestly, I wasn't sure if I was ready. I mean, that's a huge decision, right? Now, I wanted to talk to someone about how you know when you're ready to become a parent. That's what motivated me to give therapy a shot. Now, I was really impressed by how easy it was to set up everything. It literally took just a couple of days to get matched with a therapist, and the whole process was super smooth. Now, one of the things that really stood out to me was that the BetterHelp was able to match me with a therapist who shares my faith. Now, as a devout Christian, that was something that was really important to me and made a huge difference in how comfortable I felt opening up. Now, the platform itself is really
really user-friendly. I mean, booking appointments, reading more about my therapist, and even safeguarding features were all top-notch. Now, BetterHelp made starting therapy really easy and comfortable, and I'm actually looking forward to continuing to meet with my therapist now. So, if you're looking to try therapy or you just need someone to talk to, I would highly recommend checking out BetterHelp. You can click the link in the description down below to get 10% off your first month. Thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to reading, shall we?
Okay, I finished Nutshell, and this was so good. I was thinking how funny it would be if at the end of this channel I actually discovered that I'm actually not only a massive fantasy nut, but I actually enjoy other books, because I loved this book. So this book is only around 200 pages, and while it is utterly absurd because this whole story is told through the eyes of a fetus that hasn't even been born, it was so good. Firstly, I mean, Ian McEwan's writing style just fits so well. It's kind of like a stream of consciousness kind of writing, and primarily there are two main things to this novel. Firstly, we kind of follow this fetus as it grows and develops, but then there's also another plotline where we hear the fetus's observation of what is happening outside of the uterus. So there's like a plotline where we follow like the family dynamics, and there are some crazy things that happen. And I just found this novel to be so interesting. Yes, it makes no sense, but I was just reading it and I was like, wow. This is so creative, and I really enjoyed the story as well. It was heartbreaking. It kept me on my toes. There's not that many words in each page, and it's literally 200 pages. I literally read this in 2 days. Such a quick read. I really enjoyed this. Definitely a 4.5 star. But before I allow my wife to choose my next read, why don't we just do like a very quick book haul here, because I have so many books to showcase. Firstly, I just got a book from Mark. He very kindly sent me book 2 in the Mordekax trilogy. Then I also have some arcs to showcase. Firstly, The Sky on Fire by Jen Leon. Also very excitingly, Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. This is also an arc copy. And then a chunker, Exodus by Peter F. Hamilton. Look at this novel, it's like 1,000 pages. We also have some special editions. For example, the first books in the sci-fi sub by The Broken Binding. These are absolutely incredible. Also, Jade War by Fondalé, so this is the special edition as well from The Broken Binding. And then I also received the Rate Mark edition of Legends of Latte. Honestly, I'm so surprised how incredible this book is. Okay, so I'm about to drop the first hint on my wife. Let's see what she says. Hello, wifey. I'm really worried. Okay, so I want to take a guess at which novel or which authors you want me to read next. Considering you did English literature, I kind of feel like maybe a Jane Austen or maybe a William Shakespeare. Shakespeare?
Wow, that's very generic. You know a lot about English literature, don't you?
I think there must be a Shakespeare somewhere in there. A play, maybe. Not further ado, let's actually get to that recommendation. Okay, so I have finished Nutshell, and Susanna, I loved it. So this was a really good recommendation. So I can't wait to see what you'll recommend me next, because I think it'll be hard for you to top how much I enjoyed Nutshell by Ian McEwan. So what is the book you're going to recommend to me?
So the next book that I recommend is slightly different form. I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy.
Amazing. Well, I've been wanting to read this for quite a while actually, because Susanna read it like 6 months ago, and it was one of your favorite reads of, I think it was last year or earlier this year. Like, you absolutely loved it.
It's been hyped up, but it genuinely is actually quite a good book.
Well, amazing. Well, I can't wait to read this one. Thank you so much. We then went into the city, and I, of course, had to visit my favorite secondhand bookshop, Oxfam. They had some brilliant books here. And then afterwards, I had to go to Forbidden Planet as well. If you ever get the chance to go to Forbidden Planet in the UK, it's definitely worth going to. They have so many sci-fi and fantasy books, and so many are signed. But yeah, it was practically a miracle that I actually didn't end up buying a single book on this trip. Also, is anyone else excited for Halloween? I'm really excited, because next month we're going to be reading The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson for the Viking Book Club. And I'm even dressed for the occasion. I've heard so many great things about this novel, and I'm really enjoying just branching out and reading different novels, because generally I don't read that much horror and I don't read that many classics. And with my wife forcing me to read new books, my mind is being expanded. Also not sponsored. Well, my friend has sent me this. He does like loads of shirts like this. And he gave me a discount code. I'll put a link in the description down below if you want to check it out. But yes, as I said, it's not an affiliate or anything. Okay, quick reading update. So I'm now halfway through I'm Glad My Mom Died. And again, this novel, it's so good. Or I actually called it a novel, but it's actually more of a memoir, because we're basically following this famous actor, Jeanette McCurdy, or famous, like she was on Nickelodeon and stuff. And she's just writing her story of how she got into acting. And the story primarily is about her relationship with her mom, and how her mom was basically mentally ill and used her daughter to fulfill her dreams, but also implement some absolutely insane habits and also mental illnesses onto her daughter. It's just It's so riveting, but it's also so incredibly sad. So yeah, I'm expecting to love the rest of the book. It's 300 pages, but it's relatively quick read. And yeah, I just find it hilarious that this is now my second non-fantasy book, and it's honestly, similar to Nutshell, I think this might end up becoming one of my favorite reads of the year. Obviously, I'm loving reading any books that are brilliant. I want to read good books, but I feel like I might have a tiny identity crisis here, because what if I discover at the end of this challenge that I really need to branch out way more and not only read as much fantasy as I've been doing? I don't know, I mean, I will always love fantasy. Even now, I'm still thinking about, I kind of want to jump into something really epic afterwards. But yeah, this challenge has been really refreshing, and I can't wait to continue. And I'm also very curious what book 3 is going to be like, because Susanna, she hasn't told me anything yet. Okay, I apologize for the mess. I just want to give a quick reading update. I'm more than halfway through this novel. I just think that my wife is nailing this reading challenge, because this book so far is also incredible. Also, she still has no idea about the Shakespeare thing. I'm just gonna wrap it up and keep mentioning Shakespeare in every single sentence I'm able to. Operation dropping a hint. Incoming. Alright, let's have a look at the shelves to see if we can see any books that have been missing recently. So Susanna's shelves are primarily up here. Well, Senna.
I'm joking.
That scared me almost.
I'm kidding.
Still trying to figure out which book you're going to choose for the third one.
Yeah.
And as I said, I can't see any like Shakespeare or Jane Austen or anything. So, yeah.
You scared?
I'm scared. Okay, I do apologize about the lighting, but I just had to make this clip. Literally 2 minutes ago, I finished I'm So Glad My Mom Died, and this book, this was so good. This was definitely one of my favorite reads of the year. Well, it's been a while since I read a book where I literally, when I came to the end, I kept thinking, oh, I hope there's 2 more pages to go. Because this book will just pull at your heartstrings. Phenomenal memoir or biography. Really accessible writing style, but it absolutely hooks you. And I just feel so sad for how tough her life has been. But this is just a really honest take on what can happen to a person when they grow up in an abusive kind of family situation. And one thing that I was quite surprised by, and I don't think this is a spoiler, obviously her mom dies, it's in the title, it's not a spoiler, but I kind of didn't expect the mom's death to be at the halfway point of this book. So we have like a before and an after section, and I really love that fact that we get to see the aftermath of her mom's death and everything that happened afterwards. But yeah, honestly, such a great read. Now, Nutshell and this, I mean, I enjoyed this even more. So I only have one more book I need to read for this challenge, and yeah, the average star rating is at the moment 4.75, because Susanna has just nailed this, so I can't wait to see what she will have me read next. But yeah, let's see what Susanna has in store for me for book 3. Okay, it's time for you, Susanna, to recommend the third and final book of this challenge. As I said earlier, I thought maybe like a Jane Austen or maybe like a Shakespeare to get me properly introduced to English literature. But what's the third book you want me to read?
The Passion According to G.H. I always forget the title, by Clarice Lispector. This one is actually one of my bestsellers. He said that this was one of his favourite books.
I can't wait to read it. It's definitely not a modern book, so we'll see if I enjoy it, but...
It features a cockroach.
Favorite animal. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm around halfway through The Passion According to G.H. and if I'm being honest, this is a novel I would expect to read in a literary class. So finally there has been a proper like English literature kind of novel. No Shakespeare though. It's gonna be at the end of the vlog. She still doesn't know anything, which is crazy. She's in the other room, but yeah, I can't wait to see her reaction. All these tiny hints, she hasn't picked up anything yet. But yeah, this novel is basically about a mentally ill woman that kills a cockroach, and then she just stares at the cockroach for hours and hours, and we just read her thoughts and observations, and yeah, quite a cool concept. It's quite beautifully written, but yes, it's very much one of those novels that, yeah, you'd expect to read in a literary kind of setting, but it's personally not my favorite, so I think this will probably become my least favorite, but I'm still glad I'm reading it and I'm learning so much by my wife, which I'm just absolutely loving. Okay, I'm on page 125 of this novel, and I just feel like I need to give you a sense of what kind of novel this is and why I really feel like this is a novel written for people that are like prose snobs or study literature. So for example, on page 125, which is the chapter I'm just about to start, it starts with, "Hell is the mouth that bites and eats the living flesh with its blood, and the one being eaten howls with delight in his eyes.
Hell is pain as the light of the matter, and with the laughter of the light, the tears run in pain. Basically, this whole novel is written in a very like stream of consciousness, poetic kind of way. So yeah, the concept is this woman staring at a cockroach. But the real story is just like thoughts about life, God, morality, and stuff that's absolutely crazy. Also, it's such a missed opportunity that there's no cockroach on here. Alright, let's keep on reading. Okay, so I have now read the last book in this challenge, The Passion According to GH. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna get demonetized because this cover is very, very graphic, Susanna. So my thoughts, it was a book I would have expected to read if I was an English literature student. I enjoyed the concept, but I didn't ever find myself emotionally invested in this
Did you not?
obsession of a cockroach. So
Did you relate to the cockroach?
I could relate to the cockroach. So I'm glad I read it. Definitely something out of my comfort zone. I actually expected all 3 books that you recommended to be like this. But yeah, no Shakespeare, no Jane Austen at all. I think if I to rank my books, recommendations you gave me, I think I'm Glad My Mom Died. I enjoyed that one the most. And very closely followed by Nutshell by Ian McEwan, which I also absolutely loved. I loved the first 2 novels. And as I said, I'm glad I read this one. But it probably isn't a new favorite of mine.
Although, are you glad you read that one just because otherwise you would have failed the challenge?
No, I'm
or
glad
is it
because
you actually enjoyed the book.
I'm glad I enjoyed not reading something that is only fantasy. So this was, yeah, definitely something quite different from
It's a
what I'm
very
used to.
bizarre book. Also, it is it's translated.
Yes.
I think it's originally Portuguese. So
I believe so. But yeah, I am very glad to have finished this challenge. And Susanna, you remember that we were going to London soon?
yes,
Yeah, well, I have a surprise for you.
for me.
3, 2, 1.
Whoa, it's bright. Okay, Susanna, do you know where we are now?
Shakespeare's Globe.
Okay. The reason why I brought you here is because you forced me to read Nutshell by Ian McEwan, which I discovered is inspired by Hamlet by Shakespeare.
Ah.
And I don't think you've
interesting.
been here before.
No.
Alright, we're gonna have a look. Oh, you're still here and you want more? Well, the good news is that I have a Viking Book Club on my Patreon. If you join my Patreon, then you get access to an exclusive book club where every single month we read one book together and the book can be put forward by you. If you join tier 3 or 4, then you can put a book forward and then I randomly choose a book from the pot that we end up reading together, and throughout the month we discuss the book on the Patreon chats. And then we also have Zoom hangouts, which honestly are some of my favorite times of the month. This month we're reading this book and next month we're gonna be reading this book. Also, since I launched my Patreon, I basically spent my money back into the channel on video editing. I've had more than 40 videos professionally edited, so if you want to support what I do here and also help me upload more consistently, then I'll leave a link in the description down below.